am Beck and welcome to a video where I discuss your unpopular opinions. I asked on my Instagram what your unpopular opinions were about books and reading, and you delivered several answers for me. So I thought I'd put them all together in a video. My Instagram and social media is always linked down below in the description, by the way. In case you missed that and you wanted to follow me as well, then you can contribute there. But let's get into the unpopular opinions. Character moments / development is plot. There isn't such a thing as a book with no plot. I think there are plot readers and character readers, and it's always on a scale, so it's not one thing or the other. So I think I agree with this actually. You know, I would say Becky Chambers is somebody who writes a lot of character into her stories, but there is still a plot, like there's still an arc, there's still a journey of sorts. And so yeah, I would say that has merit. I would agree with that opinion. So maybe we're both the unpopular opinion there, who knows? Some of the best stories of shirtless guys on the cover. Is that supposed to say some of the best stories have shirtless guys on the cover? I mean, I love City of Bones as much as the next person did, but I'm not going to go back and reread Cassandra Clare now. I also don't read a lot of romance, and I feel like romance is dominated by abs. So maybe I'm just the wrong demographic for that, but it's probably an opinion somewhere, it's just not mine. Someone said, I love ACOTAR, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses, but it is not the be all and end all of Fae books. And as somebody who doesn't really love Fae, I would agree. And I have read ACOTAR and I've read the sequel ACOMAF as well. So I feel like I have merit to say that because I've actually read those books and I can form a fully formed opinion. So I don't think they're the be all and end all of Fae. I think they are not trash. I did enjoy the second book, so I can't say they are definitively trash, but they're definitely for a particular kind of reader and a particular kind of audience. And they're not anything that I would pick up either as like a guilty pleasure book. I know that they would frustrate me. So I don't like them. They're not my thing. Part 2 of that answer, by the way, is, and not every Fae book is copying ACOTAR. Absolutely. I don't know how this is an unpopular opinion. Are ACOTAR fans that intense? If they are gatekeeping Fae books, then that's a concern. But I do not think in any form that other Fae books are copying ACOTAR. That's like saying any wizard book is copying Harry Potter or any portal fantasy is copying the Chronicles of Narnia. Like, they are subgenres for a reason. A lot of other stories are written in those subgenres, and it's not the only thing. Just because a lot of people know about one book and not the other doesn't make one book better than the other or one series more renowned than another. So I think I agree with that opinion. Like, not all Fae books are copying ACOTAR. How stupid. One of the other asks from the same person though, and they were very generous and submitted a whole bunch, so I'm very grateful. But one of them I absolutely disagree with, and they said, surprise pregnancy is not that bad. I'm somebody who hates pregnancy as a surprise trope in fantasy. I think it's an awful trope because it just puts so much unnecessary pressure on a particular character, and you already know that they are likely to give birth or lose the baby. And either thing is going to be traumatic, and both things have to have safe places built into them. And I particularly hate this trope in apocalyptic fiction because now you've got to give birth to a baby in an apocalypse and also survive the zombies or the creatures from killing you. I hate it so much. I just hate it. I think maybe one of the only places I didn't hate it was in A Quiet Place, and that was still very borderline for me. I don't like it either if it's in a urban fantasy as like, oh, you're a Fae creature and now you are part human and you are having a Fae child. I don't care. I don't like it. I feel like I need to move on because my frustration is palpable. One of these replies just has 3 words and it says, Coho is overrated. I know that means Colleen Hoover, and I've seen Colleen Hoover around a lot after a massive resurgence of her books on TikTok. And for me, I don't like them personally because I think they glorify toxic relationships. They glorify abusive relationships. They don't have well-rounded characters, but these are all based on synopses and descriptions that I have seen, and I haven't ever read Colleen Hoover, but I think I would hate Colleen Hoover. So for that reason, I agree. This is not unpopular for me. I also think Colleen Hoover is overrated, but given the amount of new readers that are coming to Book Talk from Colleen Hoover, it makes me worried. I'm like, please find Coho, realize that she's overrated, and then go and read some books that are actually better. One of these asks just really hurts my soul because this is one of my favorite series, and it says the Percy Jackson books are a little childish. I couldn't read more than one. They are, to be fair, middle grade books written for kids, so I understand. And when I plan to reread them, or I've reread them once before, but I want to reread them again soon because there's a new series on Disney Plus, I think, being made for Percy Jackson, so I'm like, oh, I want to reread them. So when I reread them again, now that I'm 30, I'm probably going to notice that they are very childish. But I also don't really care because I am somebody who benefits from the nostalgia of them because I read them as a kid. And so when I reread them now, I get that child's perspective of me reading them in my childhood, but I also get a perspective from now. So I can kind of read them wearing two hats. So I understand that it is childish, but I also still get a massive benefit from reading them because I'm enjoying them. But I can respect that if you're a new reader and you want to try reading them, they might not be for you because they are childish and they are intended for children. So they're supposed to be snappy, they're supposed to be childish, but I don't think childish has a negative connotation here. It's just the demographic that they're written for. So if you're an adult picking up young adult or middle grade books, then you can expect a certain kind of tone for them. So I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I think that's a very valid opinion. It is better to crack a book spine than to read it awkwardly. And I'm a massive fan of, if you own it, if it's your book, it is your library. You can do whatever you want with it. And that means cracking book spines, folding pages, annotating books. I always crack my book spines. I have no regrets because I am not sitting here trying to read a book and putting it right up to my face because I can't see the words that are closest to the spine. I'm going to crack that baby right open. I don't care. And I'm also going to fold the page if I don't have a bookmark handy. I feel like I'm exposing all my bad book habits here, but they're not even bad habits. They're just like, I purchased that book. I'm going to read it how I feel comfortable. Someone else said It Ends With Us isn't even that great, which is another Colleen Hoover book that has been raved about as well. And I'm just of the opinion that I'm never going to try Colleen Hoover, and I'm very happy about never having to try Colleen Hoover. So take that as you will. Another one is TikTok has the same spicy 5 recommendations, and most of them are Colleen Hoover. TikTok seems to be obsessed with Colleen Hoover and also obsessed with spicy. And if you want smut, go for it, but maybe look outside of TikTok. Like, TikTok is being mostly dominated by teens or young adults, and my taste, at least, changed so much after I became a teenager, even into my 20s, up until now. My taste has shifted a lot, and I think that understanding is important when you're looking for a particular spicy book. Like, obviously, as you age, you're going to have different experiences. So what I considered spicy back when I was a kid, obviously I don't consider spicy now. So I can see where the incongruous recommendations come from. Like, oh, this is a new spicy book. And you pick it up and you're like, no, it's not. It's not even written that well, to be honest. So I guess take it with a grain of salt, or just don't buy into TikTok recommendations. Maybe even look at Goodreads or ask some romance booktubers what is spicy, because I'm sure there are so many more options on Kindle Unlimited or in the romance section at a bookstore than you are seeing on TikTok. There is definitely more out there than Colleen Hoover. So maybe just like set sail away from her. I don't know. This video is very clear on how I feel about Colleen Hoover. And then the last one is Sarah J Maas is overhyped. Probably because she's popular. I can see why a lot of people would hype her up because she's got a massive fan base, but I think there is, now that her books have been out for a little while, I think there is a decent amount of people who have actually read and tried her books and then decided that they don't like them. So I'm starting to see a balance occur in people who love them and then people who didn't like them. It's kind of reaching a point where there is almost equal parts of both fandoms. Like, I am not a Sarah J Maas fan, and I can see why people would be a fan. Every time she releases a new book, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be seeing this everywhere. So I do agree with the whole overhyping thing. It's the same with Jay Kristoff. He has released some kind of new cover for Empire of the Vampire, and it doesn't come out until next year, and it's already being marketed for pre-order, which I find absolutely ridiculous. So there are absolutely those like key authors that have massive marketing and a massive particular fan base, and I think that's just what it is. Like, that's who Sarah J Maas is catering for, that fan base. Because she's got so many books out now, a lot more people are finding her work as well, and it's marketed as spicy, whereas I wouldn't necessarily agree that it's very good spicy. So I guess she is overhyped. That's my opinion. She's overhyped and I don't like her work, but I'm also not going to die on a hill of going, you should never read Sarah J Maas, like I would with Coho. Like, you just read what you want to read, and if it's Sarah J Maas, good luck. But those are all the opinions that I received on my Instagram ask. Maybe I should leave with a few of my unpopular opinions. I did a very brief video about unpopular opinions. It's like 1.5 minutes long, and it's just like one sentence about each thing or each book. But in addition to that, I might say that the Wheel of Time series, I believe, is overhyped. In the same way that I've discussed Percy Jackson in this video being kind of childish, I guess, because it's written for a middle grade audience, I feel like The Wheel of Time feels very nostalgic, I imagine, to people who have read it when they were growing up. But as a new reader to that series, I found it kind of boring after book 1. and I just actively disliked certain things about the plot because it felt drawn out. So I think it is a very overhyped series as well. Maybe like Sarah J Maas, there are hardcore fans and then there are not hardcore fans. And maybe with the release of the show, it's become more on people's radar. So now there's more of a balancing out effect, kind of like Sarah J Maas as well. And also another unpopular opinion, the last one that I'm going to talk about in this video, is one of my own as a Brandon Sanderson lover. And that is, I don't think all of his books are good, but I still have favorites. I'll leave you with that kind of gem of sorts. But thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know your unpopular opinion down below, and I'll see if it matches my unpopular opinions. But thank you again so much for watching this video. I'll come chat to you in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.